Welcome. Thank you for joining the Study Abroad Affordability session. I hope that what I have to share helps you understand study abroad costs and affordability. Today, I would like to discuss the costs of not only study abroad, but your time on campus. Then I plan to spend some time talking about how some of your choices along the way might impact study abroad affordability from when you go to the program offering your study abroad opportunity to the features of the specific program you choose. Then, without diving too deeply into scholarships, I want to talk about how considering scholarships might guide your research of when, where, and how you might study abroad. First, we should start off by considering that the cost of attendance is not the net cost. Some might say that your budget is not your bill. At UC Merced, fewer than 10% of students will pay the total cost of attendance. Instead, they will see their costs subsidized. Here I've given an example of how one student with a sticker price of nearly $32,000 was only responsible for a little over $4,000, for which she could choose to use loans. And her case is the norm here, not the exception. To get some perspective, do you know how much it costs to attend UC Merced? As of the 2021-2022 academic year, the cost of living on campus is over $38,000 and $29,000 for living off campus. Yet almost no one pays that full amount because of grants and scholarships. But these are the eligible costs that financial aid uses to package students. Now consider that study abroad opportunities will vary in cost. Some more than living on campus, some less than living off campus, and some that fall in between. And then consider that financial aid remains available for study abroad. So what are the costs financial aid covers for study abroad? Everything included in the program budget and everything required in order to study abroad is included. So not just tuition and fees, but your updated room and board, the cost of round trip airfare, the cost of getting things like passports and visas, etc. There are a few things not included, like those nice shoes to fit in better in Paris, a weekend getaway to the coast, or your club or disco obsession. I mentioned that we would talk about how program choices impact affordability. Let's talk about program terms. First, many students might see the budget for an average summer program and find that it's lower than an average semester program. If you're one of the few students who do not receive financial aid, this might be enough to make your decision. But if you are one of the more than 90% of our students who do receive aid, pay attention to the composition of a typical financial aid package for a student with high financial need. Note that summer students might have a significant component of unmet need or parent loans offered to cover the program costs. Sometimes those gaps might be filled with private loans. Now, look at how a student in this situation might see about 3/4 of their semester budget covered by grants. The remaining 1/4 could be covered with student loans or even competitive scholarships along the way. You might be wondering why it is that summer programs might be less affordable for financial aid recipients. The truth is that it's more complicated than we have time to discuss here, and your eyes might glaze over in the first 30 seconds. But suffice it to say that there is a lot less grant, that is free money, available for summer. Another consideration is this, to look at how much programs might cost per unit of credit. Regardless of financial aid status, summer units simply cost more than those earned during the semester. Just as there is limited grant availability for summer, students tend to have full access to grants during the semester. On top of that, for the students with the greatest need, additional Bobcat grant often comes to the rescue when programs cost more than studying on campus for the semester. Another consideration is that scholarships, both the programs and the reviewers, look more favorably on students who commit to longer study abroad programs. Now, if you can be flexible, the payoff for committing to a year is greater still. I personally studied abroad for a year, and I didn't want to come home at the end. Aside from personal growth, language skills, networking, and friends, one of the greatest benefits of year-long study is access to more scholarship funding, both in new scholarship eligibility and enhanced scholarship odds. Continuing on how program choice impacts affordability, let's look at how different international education organizations impact affordability for our students. We'll compare the benefits and drawbacks of each the UC Education Abroad Program, or UCEAP, UC Summer Abroad, and the International Opportunities Program, or IOP, which includes all those reputable study abroad programs beyond the University of California. Let's start with UCEAP. Its primary benefits include that nearly all financial aid carries over, and that it tends to have the lowest cost first semester or year. Where UCAP is less financially competitive is summer. Next, let's discuss UC Summer Abroad. These programs are short, quite short. That might be a drawback if you catch the travel bug, but maybe that is what you're looking for. Because they're often only 4 weeks, they tend to have lower cost of living expenses than, say, a 7 or 10-week UCEAP summer program. Also, because they are UC programs, you should be able to carry the same categories of financial aid with you as if you went with UCEAP for summer. Finally, let's discuss IOP, which is more complicated. IOP costs vary widely, but that means that some summer programs can compete with UC programs for cost, even with less financial aid availability. These tend to have scholarships of their own and other competitive features. The main drawback of IOP is that it is ineligible for taking UC grant funding, like the Bobcat grant abroad. Now that we've discussed program choices, let's turn to how your choices impact scholarships. Here we pivot to why you want to study abroad, what study abroad might do for you. First, consider how well a program helps meet your academic goals. Do you need to take courses towards your major? Are you working on a language, personal enrichment? Know your program's offerings. Next, consider how a program helps you on your career path. Envision study abroad as a stepping stone for the future you want. And then consider and explore whether the program offers internships, research opportunities, or even volunteering. Then, think about how you envision study abroad changing you. Do you picture yourself as more well-rounded, a role model for younger siblings or cousins, as someone rediscovering their cultural heritage in the birthplace of their ancestors? How does this personal development motivate you and influence your program choice? Last of all, does study in Korea or France or Mexico provide a specific benefit precisely because it's Korea or France or Mexico? This might be to learn Korean or French, or because you're looking at something unique to a country like its history or its philosophy. Having a strong sense of why you have chosen your program and country will give you a solid foundation for applying to scholarships, feeling confident in your choice, and being able to write about why with authority. As you continue to think about how scholarships are impacted by program choice, let's look at recent statistics for our students. First, you'll see that students applying for this semester have significantly higher odds of winning a scholarship award, about 28% to 21%. Next, consider study abroad destination countries. You should know that many scholarships reward students for studying in less common countries. Students heading to Europe account for 55% of scholarship applicants, but only 39% of recipients, while students heading to Asia represent only 11% of applicants and yet 30% of awardees. As you look forward to study abroad, start to map out the timeline of your journey. You should know what your current cost of attendance is and what it will look like when abroad, and plan not to be able to work to close the gap. Consider how the program you choose impacts your costs. If your timeline allows, consider programs that maximize your odds of landing a scholarship. And begin practically, living within your budget now, saving for study abroad extras like travel or souvenirs, and set aside any financial aid you don't spend now before you go. Now, thank you for your attention and interest in keeping study abroad affordable. We want students to be able to make study abroad work financially. Consider our study abroad scholarship session. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us by email, by appointment, or by dropping by when we're open. Thanks again.